We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the October 2022 Missouri Evergreen Cataloging Meeting. We're going to have some review today, but don't have a whole lot on the agenda today, but I'm super glad to see so many of you here. And one last reminder, if you haven't already, please put your name in the chat. Starting right in, as a reminder, the Missouri Evergreen Users Conference, our first annual, hopefully, is going to be April 12th through the 14th. That is in the Mornet meeting rooms in Columbia, Missouri. It is going to be a hybrid event, so if you can't be there in person, hopefully you can still attend some of our programs. We're super excited that that is going to be happening. And we will be having some cataloging programs. Our next migrating library is Barton County Library. Their go live is November 14th. That is just a little less than a month away. As a reminder, we do have a cataloging freeze the week before go live libraries. So that'll be November 7th through the 13th. That is a week before our next meeting, so I will be sending out a reminder that we will be in a cataloging freeze. Again, that means that you can't add or delete any whole new records. You can add your items to records that are currently there. You cannot, no merging, no adding. And I think that covers it. And again, I'll send a reminder out closer to the date. Projects that the cataloging committee is working on in the next several months. We are still going to be making several small changes to the cataloging policy that will be presented at the next membership meeting, as well as our piracy policy. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that later in the meeting, but we will have that ready to present at the general membership meeting in December. We are going to be doing a full written guide for the monthly cataloging reports that we get out each month with Equidocs. That's another thing that we'll be talking about a little later as well. And we're going to be doing more concrete onboarding procedures for both libraries that are migrating in and new consortium catalogers. And of course, even though we're having our users conference in April, Liz still plans on doing regional trainings, and she will be getting those planned and underway. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about those in the future. Speaking of Liz, she's going to kind of touch base with all of us and tell us what she's been doing lately.
Good morning, everybody. I'm labeled Consortia Cataloger News, so if anybody grew up with Sesame Street like I did, I feel like I need to go do. So shout out to everybody who's old like I am. So what have I been working on? MARC templates. There's going to be new MARC templates coming for original cataloging. We'll talk about those a little later in the meeting, and I'll show you some examples. They're not quite loaded up yet. That's harder than one thinks, as everything is. What else have I been doing? Deduping research, looking into better ways to not have as many duplicate records in the catalog. And in fact, Kate and I and Nikki have a meeting Wednesday talking with Evergreen about all sorts of things, kind of the background of cataloging and what's going on. And they shared a bunch of documentation with me, so looking into that. And then permissions, of course, that big permission cataloging project everyone keeps mentioning, that's still happening kind of in the background. As it gets more underway, you'll hear more about that, but that's all still percolating. So plan on hearing more about those things in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Liz is also, of course, as you have all seen, she's active on our listserv and helping to answer questions and stuff. She has been calling libraries across the state to, introduce herself, offer help. She has already become an integral part of our cataloging community here in Evergreen, and I'm so thankful to have her. As a reminder, there is a larger Evergreen cataloging community. There meetings are usually the day after our monthly meetings, but ours did get moved back this month. So they are the second Tuesday of every month. Those links will be sent out in the minutes as well. Next month, Mary Llewellyn, a bibliomation, and I will be doing a presentation on MarkEdit, which is a third-party application that catalogers, it's a great tool for catalogers to use and know about. So if you're interested in that at all, we're going to be sharing tips and tricks for MarkEdit. Let's see. Just a reminder that all of the cataloging contacts for all of the libraries are on the Missouri Evergreen website. There's a list of all of us for each library. We have a lot of libraries have a main contact and a secondary contact. You always feel free to email the listserv, but if you have an issue with just one or two libraries that you would like for them to look at their item, you can just grab their email off of that site there on our website and just email them personally. The first ever Missouri Evergreen Regional Circulation Training is going to be at Scenic Regional next month. I know a lot of us wear a lot of hats. I'm not going to this training, but Liz is, and I have taken CIRC training before, though. I think that it's just one of those things that even if you don't do CIRC every day, knowing about it is helpful all around. Any questions about any of that before we move into just some discussions this month? That was my monthly review of everything we talk about pretty much every month. So like I said earlier, we are going to be bringing an official media piracy policy to the board and the membership in the next couple months. It'll be ready by December. But we have talked about this on the listserv before, and I did just kind of want to go over it. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see that? Stranger Things. Thank you. Okay. I got one more thing I'm trying to find here. That is not it. Sorry guys, bear with me here. This is of course the Missouri Evergreen website. I'm going to cataloging training materials, and this is what we're gonna just kind of look over today. How to spot a fake bootleg DVD. We're using all of this information to kind of incorporate into our policy. So first and foremost, what we want you to know is that we realize that some of this is super tricky. We realize that people that have bootlegs probably don't realize it. We know you did not maliciously go out and find bootleg copies of something. So we're not coming after you at all. However, we of course cannot have illegal things in our catalog. So something that we kind of puts up a red flag for us, we're going to research and we're going to look into, and if it does end up being bootleg, it will need to be removed from our catalog. So there's some, pretty cut and dried basic things to look for when you're looking for a bootleg CD. First and foremost, if you can't find it anywhere else except Amazon, that doesn't necessarily, none of this stuff necessarily means these are bootleg, but if you can't find it on a trusted, vendor website, whether it be Baker and Taylor, Ingram, Midwest Tape, that kind of thing, that's going to be your first place that you need to check and make sure that it has actually been released to the public for purchase. So things to look at is the cover art. Now, us being public libraries, sometimes we do some of our stuff looks like it's been copied and that kind of thing, because it has been. But things to look for are that it's got like studio icons and stuff on it, like whoever released the video, there's all these logos and everything on it. You need to have this official DVD or Blu-ray icon, that kind of thing. The color of the disc often, is something to look for. Most mass-produced DVDs, CDs, that kind of thing, they're going to be silver. I have seen some of these blue ones, but that can be cause for you to research it a little more. And if it's got icons on the disc or on the artwork that look questionable, of course, makes you think, where is this from? That might be something to look at as well. And there's a couple other ways. If you want to manipulate the item physically, you can put it in your DVD drive and look at how big it is. You can look to see if it's copyable. Those things are definitely red flags right there. If it lets you copy it, then it's not real. And it should be of a certain size if it was a real mass-produced DVD. So all of this stuff we're gonna kind of outline and talk about in the piracy policy. I did want to bring up as well that Walmart's website now, because you guys go to Amazon and Walmart to get these things, but that does not mean that they are legit. Walmart now is kind of just like Amazon. You can there are people and storefronts that are selling on Walmart's website now, and you can kind of see right here where it's sold and shipped from. If it was Walmart, of course, then it would say, supplied by Walmart or whatever. Just like on Amazon, it would say supplied by Amazon. Those should make you feel a little more comfortable if they have that. But if it's a third party place, again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bootleg, but things that we get that are bootleg tend to be from those kind of third party sellers. And so the first thing that we are going to do, of course, is double check that it was ever actually released to the public by the studio and that kind of thing, because not everything is anymore, streaming things and that kind of thing. They're not putting that stuff right out on DVD, even though there's a demand for it. So if some of that streaming stuff, if we happen to have those DVDs, yet they never release them, then that's the kind of thing that we're going to have to remove from our catalog. Any questions about media piracy and bootleg stuff? Okay. I am going to talk about Excel tips and tricks, just a few Excel tips and tricks right now, because as we know, our Equinox reports come in an Excel spreadsheet, and these are the reports this month. If you notice, they do have a couple reports that are not on this list. I did email our contact at Equinox about this. I'm not sure why these didn't come up this month. These come out on the 25th of every month, so it's almost time for our new monthly reports anyway, but they're not there for some reason right now. So just some basic things for Excel, because getting these reports and then being able to see exactly what you want to see is going to be important. So what I just did is, let me do that again. So so here's my Excel file, and it came up, and I hit the corner button here between 1 and A, and I highlighted my whole sheet. And then I hovered between the columns here and double click, and then it makes everything, so it's visible. One of the first things you're going to do with these reports is you're going to, well, one thing I like to do always, I like to go to view, freeze panes, and then I freeze my top row so that when I scroll down, I can keep all of these headers there so I can keep track of what I'm doing. And that's in view, freeze panes. And then on my home ribbon here, I'm going to go to sort and filter, and I'm just going to put this hit this filter button, and that puts these little filter down arrows on every single column. So I am going to open this menu, and I'm going to unselect everything because I just want to work on my library, right? So I'm going to pick, let's see, I'll pick Little Dixie, and I'm going to, so now the only things showing are items that Little Dixie owns. And so you can see here, this is the mismatched audio report. So you can see here that the OPAC icon is showing whatever shows up. This is what populates this column. So if I only wanted to see things that were blank, I could just do blank. And then the only things on the screen are going to be, so now I have two filters. I have my library and I have my OPAC icon. I have filtered so I can just see blanks now. Or I want to see everything. So, you know, just a little reminder, if there's no icon whatsoever, there's of course something wrong. There should always be some kind of icon for everything in Evergreen. So we know that, you know, something's up with these. And then, but as a kind of as an example as well, it can tell you if what you have is incorrect. If you have a CD audiobook and it's showing, you know, e-audio or something like that, then you know that something needs to be fixed. So, and sometimes the filters come in really handy, but I also do sort A to Z very often. You know, sometimes instead of sorting out my library, I'll just sort it alphabetically and then grab my stuff as well. So Excel is a very powerful program. We have to know how to work it with reports in Missouri Evergreen. So if anybody has any questions about or any more tips, I mean, there's tons and tons more tips. I'm not going to go into all of them. I just wanted to show you the basic of how to filter to get your library to be the only one that's being seen. And then the other filter functionality, how you can make, you know, just blanks show up, or you can make whatever field in each column show up. Any questions about piracy or Excel? Okay. Liz is going to talk more about the templates that she has been doing. So I am going to unshare my screen. Okay. And Liz, I have made you host, so you can.
Okay, can you see my screen now? Book template, hooray. Okay. So when I started this project, I went and first looked how many templates there are currently, and there are like 15, ranging anywhere from book to e-reader and etc. So I went through and thought, okay, what do we actually need? Because everything is on the table of getting rid of and re-adding. And so I came up with, so far, 13 that will be added back in. And you'll see in the notes, it says 13-ish. It says ish because if they get added in and you're like, Liz, you took my template, I use this all the time. This isn't the end all be all. If you have a template you want and I've taken it out, or if there's never been a template for something that you would like to see in there, please email me at cataloger whatever. I can't ever remember my own email address. I apologize. But email me. I can make a template, and either if it's going to be of use to everybody, make sure it gets loaded in there. Or if you just need a template, I can just make you a template and send it to you so that you have it and can use it. Okay. So currently working to get these loaded in the test server so we can make sure they look good, because I realize as we make them and then load them back in, they get all wonky. And that's the best way I can put that. So as I make these, you'll see here's what it would look like in the plain editor, right? Here's your 008 enhanced, right? And how I've made these is more like fill in the blank style, or like something you could make in a macro in OCLC if you're used to that, because that's how I was raised as a cataloger. So the X's here, it says, oh, I need to look at that and possibly put something there. Or the question mark, does this exist in this record? I need to take that out or put something in. I put the 3 XX's in there as much as possible, right? And I've even gone so far as to add 3 650s, because we know in our cataloging best practices for Mac, we like to see at least 3 650s. So I put them in there for you. You just have to fill them in. And a 655.7, right? So there's your LCGFT, your Library of Congress genre and fiction heading, right? So it's kind of a fill in the blank, choose your own adventure records with the originals now. They get more complicated, obviously, after book. So all of them also, I will note, are set with 2 dates, because we see so many things now with RDA that have the 2 dates. So I set all of them like they would have 2 dates. That's not necessarily correct, as we know, but so much it is 2 dates. So let's see, there's book. That's an easy one. Large print. So it has all the things where you would add large print. There, your 650. There's your 340, 300. Let's keep going. Audiobook. So even on these, like your 511, read by. Fill in your narrator, y'all. And then it has your 700 done here with your narrator tag already in it. Fill in your narrator, y'all. So I've tried to make it more like, oh, hey, do this. Also, when you're looking in your 008s, you see where the X's are there. Those match up to the X's where the dates are. So if you go in the enhanced editor and fill in your dates up here, the X's will disappear in your 008s and your dates will fill in. Or like the L text here, right? You need to know if that is an essay, or is it nonfiction, or what else can that be? Monologue, random things. When you fill that in, that X will disappear. So there shouldn't be X's left in your 008 when you're done. They either, or question marks, they should be taken out some way. Sometimes they can be blank depending on what you're looking at, but there they are now. Let's keep going. Play away. Since that is so different and has all those weird 500 fields different from an audiobook, there's your play away. Has your, it always since it's spelled wrong, there's your 500 fields, your read by again, your narrator, your 710s. Your 007 is already done on that one, huzzah. Music/audio, okay? And here I even put your 505, song 1, song 2, etc. Fill those in. Now for your DVD and your Blu-ray, I separated those out because, you know, the fixed fields and everything are slightly different. But then I went so far as to make 2 DVD and 2 Blu-ray, because when you have a DVD that's a movie or a DVD that is like a television series, they're pretty different, right? So I made a template for both. So you'll see DVD movie, and this is like that entity that was originally released as motion picture in. You fill in the year. And so fill in the blank, everything in there. It has all, okay, look where you put your actors, and in English with ... where you'd put your other languages. Same with the Blu-ray.
I have let her know, guys, that we don't use GMDs. She's going to take those out.
They're out the other ones. Sorry. And then here, so your TV series. So those look slightly different. So in these, you have 505. And so it would be like disc 1, episode 1, disc 2, yada, yada, yada. So those are all different in there. And the 008s already are changed there that say, oh, hey, this is a series. So I've tried to make it easier. I tried. If you notice something I've done wrong, please let me know. I am not infallible. And as I said, as we've tried to load these, things go incredibly wrong. And so then the last ones are microfilm. I've made a single microfilm and a serial microfilm. So then one reel, so if you're just loading the one, and then of course the serial, because there's such different things added in those. Okay, so that gives us the 13 templates that I talked about. Now, if there's something else that you need, because there's specifically 3 that are in there now that I have not made and put back in, and there's a read aloud, there is e-reader, and there's magazine. So for magazine, I didn't know if you wanted me to make a random, like, just serial record, and I can do that. And e-reader, I don't know how often those are added anymore. And read aloud, I'm not exactly sure what we're thinking when we mean read aloud, even though I've looked at that template. So these are what your templates will look like. I will send an email out when they finally get loaded up into the regular server after I've looked at them in the test server and make sure everything's fine. They'll get loaded in the regular side, and then you can use them. Are there any questions?
These look fantastic, Liz. And just as a note, some of you might not ever use these templates, you know, that's fine. But those of us that do, it's nice that they're really guided and they really help us remember what all we're supposed to be putting in for each of these. But it could be, you know, it's feasible that you might not ever use them. If, you know, because they're going to be your last, it's your last ditch. You know, this is for genealogy stuff a lot of time, you know, if you've looked everywhere in Z39 and you can't find it and you're having to originally catalog it, kits maybe, like she said, microfilm, local stuff, that's when you're going to be using these templates, and they're really going to help you remember what all to put in it. But more often than not, you're going to be able to find what you need in Z39.5. So both of those are really easy.
I do have a kit template, and I just didn't scroll far enough. Wait.
Okay.
Wait for it. Here. Come on, Liz. Where are you? Microfilm series. There we go. Equipment realia. There you go. So R, like if you were cataloging your highlighter, or I don't know, what did I just catalog? Virtual reality thingy.
Yeah. This stuff, this is what if I have to originally catalog anymore, it's almost always some weird thing that my library, awesome thing, you know, virtual reality or some cool kit or a wheelchair or something like that we're going to circ. That is when I end up having to originally catalog anything.
And here's your kit. So, I mean, it'll start you out, but as we know with a kit, if it can be like a book plus 15 other things, this record is going to get way more complicated, but it's at least a start. So let me know if I've forgotten any or if I have messed something up somewhere, because I am not infallible, y'all.
We can't wait for those to be loaded up into our live server. Like she said, she's going to load them up on the test server to make sure they load and they look right and everything, because as with most things, it's not as easy as one would think to get them loaded. Anything else, Liz, that you need to talk over?
I don't think so. I'm going to be looking at where I'm going to be doing the regional cataloging training. So at some point, I will probably send out a anonymous questionnaire, basically, that's like, what worked at last time, what didn't work, locations, yada, yada. So look for that. And kind of what would you like to see at regional training? Like just basic and advanced, or would we like to see very specific things? Because I can train you on the most specific, and you're like, Liz, this book is giving me a hell of a time. I can train you on that specific book. It can be a learning experience for everyone. So expect to see a survey basically coming out soon. And if you need me to train somebody at your library between now and a regional training, please email me.
Any questions, anybody? We've had pretty quick meeting and just went over a couple things. Diane is waving her hand.
I know that we took all the e-records out of the general Missouri Evergreen catalog, but they still appear in the individual library. If you're searching for the individual library, you get e-results whether you want them or not. Is there anything happening with that, or is that just what we're stuck with?
Kate and I are going to discuss that because I need to be caught up on that. And then I'm sure that's something we'll discuss with Evergreen and Wednesday's meeting when they talk to us about the cataloging background information.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to get to the bottom of this. We know that it's really inconvenient. Of course, when you it's the main issue when you are drilled down to when you're searching for just your library, or it doesn't do it as much when you search all of Missouri Evergreen. As you know, you can always click that exclude electronic resources. That's going to be your workaround until we get to the bottom of this. And that could be quite a while. We might have some things that we really need to figure out, and some processes that we might need to take to be able to get it to function the way we want to. Rena asked in the chat if anyone is having issues with placing holds for patrons and then the holds are disappearing. She says they're having that issue regularly.
And I have a question to that question because I don't know as much about the holds in MEC. Is there a way to set expirations for holds? Because if you have an expiration turned on, if it's waited a certain amount of time, it'll drop off. So if MEC has that, that could be why it's disappearing, but I'm not a CERC person.
Yes, there is an expiration date. When you place the hold, you can select an expiration date.
So as far as the holds, Karina, I would suggest emailing the CERC listserv and see if you guys can get a discussion going there about if anyone is having an issue with holds. Holds is not my strong suit. I'm the first to admit CERC stuff isn't something I know. So I bet that someone will be able to help you if you email the CERC listserv. And Mickey says that he definitely, if that's a consistent issue, that's something that needs to be investigated, and that he would like to help you through. Okay, and so yeah, maybe that's something you can look into, the expiration date for your holds. Anybody, any more questions?
Sorry, before we move on, Karina, what library are you at? Just so I can write that down in case that's pertinent to this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a library setting that each library can make different, so. And Carol says that the templates look great. She asked if maybe we should add a 246 field for the book template. That is something that is, something that's often used, and sounds like Liz likes that idea. And one last call out from Allison. If you haven't, put your name and library in the chat. One last call for questions. I'll stick around for people to be able to put their name in those chats if they need to. And next month, our meeting is November 14th. So I will see you all then. As always, email the listserv or Liz or any of your committee members. And the minutes and recording of this meeting will be out by the end of this week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, it looks like we're good. I'm closing the meeting. Bye, everyone.